Good afternoon, everybody. How are you enjoying the 2016 H. Kent Weldon Conference so far? I made similar comments last year, and yet the sincerity is so real that it's worth repeating. I am so honored to have known Kent Weldon. That is a privilege to be involved in any event or anything where his name is attached and associated. He was a remarkable man, and so it is really a privilege to be able to be involved in this type of programming where we can not only honor his legacy, but memorialize his legacy by perpetuating what he valued so much, and that was higher education. So if we could give him a round of applause in his honor. I've had a chance to sit in on a few sessions. No, excuse me, by the way, my name is Dennis Bland. I've been involved in the Commission for Higher Education for several years, and yet I know the majority of you, but for those with whom I have not had the honor of speaking, I have the honor of serving as chairman of the Commission for Higher Education this year, along with 12 other wonderful people who represent the commission from throughout the state of Indiana. And I also have the honor of serving as president of an organization called the Center for Leadership Development, where at the Center for Leadership Development, we talk about these issues every day, all day. This is the opportunity for us to come together from different perspectives and share our different lenses with the hope of putting together an experience and some takeaways that where we can move forward and advance our state. And so I will just share a quick thought as I've had the privilege to bounce around to the different rooms. And the thought would be this. From my lens, as Mike Langelier, our speaker earlier, shared with us, he talked about a lens. And I would just like to take a second and share my lens in the hope and with the spirit that that lens, that perspective would be helpful as we go forward. A book I would recommend is a book entitled The Dumbest Generation. It's written by a gentleman by the name of Mark Bauerlein. One of the observations he makes, it's rich in research. One of the observations he makes in the book is not only do young people and the millennials not read, he says they cannot read. And yet, as higher education begins to experience what Mark Bauerlein has researched, we have to be able to confront some of these realities. Another point that he mentions is the amount of time that the millennials spend on social media on a daily basis essentially amounts to a full-time job. Literally. 38, 40 hours a week on social media. From my lens, what I have found out is as we try to encourage higher education and achievement, I have just seen humbly, but in a very sobering way, I have understood that for a number of young people, they simply have no value of an education. It is irrelevant to them. And even when they step into an education environment, we have to understand that even when they are there physically, their minds are not there. How do we address that challenge? I don't know, but that's why we have a governor as leader. We'll leave it to him. It is my honor to introduce the governor of the state of Indiana. He has led the state on the economic front. There have been record gains, record achievement, and we are looking to his leadership, and I'm sure he's looking to our leadership to figure out how we continue to advance Indiana on the education front. There's an expression that goes, every shut eye is not sleep. I think people underestimate our governor. Every shut eye is not sleep. I think he has an idea and a vision for education, and he's working it in his own way. I know he has a tremendous support cast in Teresa Lubbers, and so we look forward to his comments about education and how we can help our state go further and higher. Would you please join me in welcoming the governor of the great state of Indiana, Governor Michael Pence.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You're awesome. Love you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dennis. I'm very, very grateful, very grateful for your kindness, for your esteem, for your extraordinary leadership as chairman of the Indiana Commission for Higher Education, and even as importantly, your leadership at the Center for Leadership Development. That's why yesterday I was glad, by the authority vested in me, to extend to Dennis Bland the state's highest honor. Would you join me in congratulating the latest recipient of the Sagamore of the Wabash, a man who's made an incredible difference in the life of the people of this state. And I only wish I could have been there yesterday, Dennis, to meet your dad, who I know that you dedicated that honor to, and hear the wonderful remarks that have been recounted back to me. Just thank you for all you do each and every day for the state of Indiana, but impacting the lives of so many. And I am just so grateful to be here with all of you, with so many people involved in education, so many state leaders, elected officials, trustees, students, and frankly, I think with the best commissioner of higher education in the United States of America, Teresa Lubbers. I am such a soft touch for Teresa Lubbers. Usually just a phone call away. She says to me, I got our team together, and Governor, this is the direction we want to go. And she has, as Dennis just said, an incredible partner. Incredible partner in a widening success story in the state of Indiana that's being driven by education, innovation, and reform at every level, and most especially in higher education. And Teresa, I'm so grateful to you. I'm also especially grateful. I'd just like to ask them all to stand. I hope they certainly didn't come here for any recognition, but all the members of our Commission for Higher Education who are here, who are in the room, thank you for your extraordinary contributions to the life of this state and for leading the finest system of higher education in the United States of America. I really do believe that. I actually believe that we have the finest system of higher education in the United States. I mean, you know, you can go out on the East Coast and you can go to some states that have maybe a better known college or university with a little bit of ivy on the walls, or you can go out to the West Coast where they have beaches and stuff. But you name me the state that has a Purdue and an IU, that has a DePaul and a Hanover College, and at Earlham. Name me a state that has a Ball State University and a Vincennes University and a University of Southern Indiana. I mean, the diversity, the strength, the offerings of higher education in the state of Indiana are second to none of any state in the United States of America. And I thank you all for your great contributions. Also delighted, and none of that would be possible without strong bipartisan support in the General Assembly. And I know Senator Pete Miller is with us today. Senator Miller, let's give all the members of the General Assembly a round of applause. Take a bow, Pete. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for your support for higher education, Chairman. Great champion, and we've got some other great leaders here. He's already stood because he's a member of my Commission for Higher Education, but he's also a great champion of education, innovation, and reform at every level. The Mayor of Valparaiso, Indiana, John Costas. Thanks for coming down, Mayor. So good to see you. We're just up in Valparaiso for the largest economic development announcement in the history of Porter County, and the mayor's just doing a phenomenal job. And some leaders of some of our great institutions who are here that I'd like to ask to stand. Dan Elsner, president of Marian University, Dan Bradley, Indiana State University, and Charles Johnson at Vincennes University. Would you all mind just taking a bow? Thank you so much for leading these extraordinary institutions. Well, Indiana is on the move in our 200th year, and I couldn't be more excited, or feel more humbled to be a small part of the widening success story of the state of Indiana. It is remarkable when you think about it. Just 3 short years ago, unemployment was over 8%. It's below 5% today. We've seen businesses large and small create 150,000 net new jobs over the last 3 years. Tens of thousands of Hoosiers have moved from the unemployment rolls to gainful employment in our state. And now for the 9th month in a row, we've set a new record. We now have more Hoosiers going to work than ever before in the 200-year history of the state of Indiana. And that's a credit to the people of this state. But make no mistake about it, this is where Teresa and I see eye to eye. Education is a driving force behind that widening success story in Indiana. I come to you today just fresh from the 2nd annual symposium on aviation and aerospace. We had about 600 people downtown at the JW Marriott. The North American president of Northrop Grumman was the keynote speaker, but we brought together all of our, Rolls-Royce, GE Aviation, Raytheon, all the great companies that have come here in recent years, or those that have expanded here in recent years. And I have to tell you, the theme down there is the same as the theme here. It's all about education. For all of these companies, I spent a little bit of time with Tom Weiss, who's the Northrop Grumman president, and we sat in my office and I just talked to him about what we're doing in the area of workforce and how we're thinking holistically about workforce education, from putting a greater emphasis and resources on career and technical education, our emphasis on post-secondary education, on workforce alignment, all of the things that you all have been about here. In fact, I think it's been much of these discussions that's driving a widening interest in not just aerospace, but in industries all across the United States to be coming to Indiana and growing in Indiana. And I want to commend you all for your efforts in that regard. But I also want to challenge you a little bit today. And so in the few minutes that I have, let me just talk a little bit about that and about the passion and the vision that I have in this space. In 2013, I came to my first Weldon Conference. Shortly after being elected governor, and pulled out my speech the other day, the title of which was Meeting Workforce Demand. And as I stand before you today, I have to tell you, I couldn't be more humbled or more proud of the remarkable progress that we've made at each and every level to drive toward that goal. I'm more confident today than I have been since the day I became governor that by the year 2025, we will have 60% of the people of Indiana with a post-secondary degree, certificate, or credential beyond high school graduation. I believe it's going to happen. But it's going to happen because we're bringing all of the resources to bear. Communities are stepping up, and just as importantly, businesses are stepping up in new partnerships almost as never before. Now, we know why that goal is important, that 60% goal. And as aggressive as it sounds, it's just reflective of a reality that we know that Teresa told me from my first day in office. She said, Governor, we got to drive for this 60% number because by 2025, experts tell us that two-thirds of all jobs are going to require some training beyond high school, some post-secondary education. So we are doing what Wayne Gretzky used to do in hockey, right, Dennis? I mean, we're skating to where the puck is going to be. Indiana knows where the economy is going to be in 2025, and we've been working relentlessly to get the people of Indiana prepared to do that. Now, I said then, back in 2013, that as we drive toward that, we need to caution ourselves against believing that the definition of success is a 4-year degree. And I really am incredibly proud of the fact that we've been working to support associate degrees, certificates, industry-recognized credentials, encouraging people to simply obtain some level of post-secondary education. That comes from the fact that, my grandfather immigrated to this country. My dad built a small gasoline station business. I was raised to really believe that all honest work is honorable, right? And I truly do believe that our schools need to work just as well for our kids that want to go out and get a job as they do for kids that want to go off and get additional education. And that's been the focus of our efforts, and I couldn't be more proud of it. That's why I'm especially pleased with the Commission's third strategic plan that Teresa spoke about yesterday in what was a tremendous speech at the Indiana State House. Let me congratulate you on your State of Higher Education address, Teresa. You can applaud that if you want. I really kind of got a little hesitation. I don't want to wear out the applause, but I mean, it was great. It was a great speech, and the strategic plan was fantastic. Reaching Higher, Delivering Value, I think, was the title of the new proposal, with an emphasis on completion, competencies, career preparation. I believe that it harmonizes with the objectives that we've been working toward over the last 3 years together. I'm particularly proud of the fact that this new focus, reiterating as it did and does, the importance of collaboration with businesses, with K-12 schools, with colleges, agencies, employers, to encourage greater partnerships in education at every level is exactly the right focus. And as Teresa knows, because she's a member of the Indiana Career Council the last 3 years, it harmonizes almost precisely with what the Indiana Career Council has assembled, with Senator Miller's help and others over the last 3 years. Part of the council's strategic plan is to encourage greater workforce alignment, greater student-focused services, and a focus on workforce demand. Our own Department of Workforce Development has been focusing on developing the kind of data analytics that will allow us to redesign our adult workforce education with a demand-side model, so that we're encouraging people to pursue training and background and education in areas where there are jobs and opportunities. Indiana has also been making investments, you'll be glad to know, in regional efforts. Our 11 regional works councils that were established by legislation back in 2013 have been working together with local leaders, K-12 schools, colleges, and employers to underwrite and support innovative career technical education programs all across the state of Indiana, and I'm incredibly proud of it. We've supported curriculum. We distributed almost $5 million in grants to career technical education programs around the state. And earlier this year, along with the Department of Workforce Development, we invested another $11 million in grants to 13 regional partnerships that have developed what are called sector-focused training and education programs for in-demand occupations. The people of Indiana are investing in workforce education at every level, and it's so exciting for me to see the commission and the new strategic plan that's calling for exactly those kind of collaborations and exactly those kind of partnerships. Now, in 2014, I actually issued a challenge to employers all across the state of Indiana, and it's part of my message here today. I challenge employers to create 10,000 more work-based learning opportunities for Indiana students, and they've been busy doing that. You know, I really do think, as I've traveled around the state, giving students in Indiana the opportunity, as we are on an increasing basis at every level, to have on-site work-based experiences is a way of contributing to their education, their appreciation for what's involved in the career that they are pursuing. But it's also, very selfishly, as governor, I always tell young people, I say, pursue your dreams, but just pursue them in Indiana, right? The truth of the matter is, when we expose young people through these partnerships, Mayor, when you've got a young person in school at Valparaiso University or in high school who has access to and has an opportunity for an internship or work-based experience at a company in Valparaiso, a global company located in your community, they're going to be much more likely, when they finish their educational experience, to look at an opportunity to stay in town. You know, and I have always said, and Teresa's beat me to being a grandparent. It's probably going to be by a couple more years. But, you know, I've always said that the best economic policy in the world is the one that ensures that my wonderful daughters and my unworthy son-in-laws raise my perfect grandchildren in the same area code where I live. That's good economic policy, right? And that's really what we're talking about here. I mean, the side benefit, I mean, we talk about workforce and you know, site-based learning, but come on. I mean, let your kids in the door as they are. It's a great program, an entrepreneurial program the high school up in Kokomo has right now. It's just phenomenal. The kids go and they basically take their classes 2 days a week some people are nodding, you're in these programs. They actually have their classes on entrepreneurship in a different local business It's in 6-week increments. You'd absolutely love this, Mike. And at the end of it, they write a business plan. And what's happening up in Kokomo, a lot of these businesses are finding positions for these young people and helping them with their college education because they see what bright and extraordinary young men and women are coming up in the community. And it's very, very exciting to me what that means. By the way, I forgot to mention Mike Langulier. What a great job this morning. Congratulations. Everybody's talking to me about your speech. I almost took my tie off just to be more cool. I get around. Yeah, he just said, he actually wanted to say, give up. But it's not just the work-based learning programs, but we've got several other things going I want you to know about. The Employment Aid Readiness Network, you all have heard of it, the EARN program. Indiana Intern Net is helping connect Hoosier students with Indiana employers. I just, if I really have one thing that I'd like to ask each and every one of you to do as you leave here today, and I think Teresa would ask the same thing with this new strategic plan, is reach out to local employers when you go home. Just say, I was with the commissioner and I was at this great conference and I heard the governor's passion and I understand that there's all new resources here and there's all new focused on collaboration with local employers. And are we doing enough? I talk to employers all the time across the state of Indiana, and I want to promise you, I tell them the same thing. I said, if you haven't been over to your local school corporation, go sit down with your local superintendent, go sit down with your local university or college president and say, how do we work better with you? Because I got to tell you, businesses are anxious to do it. They just need a little bit of a nudge to say it's okay for you to come walking through the hallowed halls of education and talk to us about jobs and opportunity and alignment, okay? So I really want to challenge you to do that, to make work-based experiences a part of every post-secondary program, just as we're endeavoring to do in secondary education today, and just encourage you to do that. And lastly, I really do, I got to tell you, it's hard to keep up with Teresa Lubbers and what this commission is doing. It was just a couple of months ago, we had a very exciting announcement at the Indiana State House that I know she spoke about yesterday, where we announced the You Can Go Back program. It is really extraordinary. I mean, it recognizes that to hit that 60% goal, we've got to look beyond the traditional pipeline that we call it and the kids that are coming up in our K-12 education system. And we got to look at the 750,000 Hoosiers who are out there. I think that's the number, right? About 750,000 Hoosiers have some post-secondary credits, but for whatever reason, they didn't get to a degree attainment. They didn't get to a credential. They didn't get to a diploma. And those are the people we want to reach. And so the commission came up with this wonderful program, You Can Go Back. And I'm pleased to announce just 8 weeks after the announcement, thousands of Hoosiers have checked in to this program and are making plans to go back and pursue more education. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I want to promise you, as Teresa, did one of these with me, state government is a full partner here. The state of Indiana, through our Department of State Personnel, through all of our different agencies, are encouraging as governor of the state of Indiana, I'm one of the largest employers in Indiana. Some nearly 30,000 Hoosiers serve the people of Indiana each and every day, and we're sending a You Can Go Back message to each and every one of them. And they're responding. I'm very proud to say it. We're going to continue to look for ways that we can incent and accommodate and coordinate around their desire to improve themselves and improve their opportunities. But it's such a great idea. And it really resonated with me because the day we announced it, do you remember? I was thinking about my mom. My dad is gone now 28 years ago yesterday. April 13th is always a tough day in our family. My dad passed away when he was 58 years old. I was about 28 years old. And my mom, who found herself as a single mom with 4 boys and 2 girls at home, rolled her sleeves up, made a go of it, saw her family through those times. And my mom, 83 years young, she's my hero. She's amazing. But one of the things Mom did after she got the boys out of the house, she went back to school. She'd gotten a few credit hours when she and Dad were dating back in Chicago, but He followed a job down to Columbus, Indiana, where I was born, and all my brothers and sisters were born. But she wasn't just content to steer our family through that time, but after she got some of us out of the house, she said, I'm going to go to school. And my mom, for 6 years, commuted to St. Mary of the Woods over near Terre Haute. And she got a degree in psychology, became a CASA worker, and has been involved in transforming and changing lives in Bartholomew County ever since. I couldn't be more proud of her. But that's just one example of what we're talking about with the You Can Go Back. So I thought, number one, remember I told you the first thing I'm asking you is I want you to go back. I want you to look at this strategic plan we're talking about higher education. And I want you to go back. And this isn't just, these college presidents who are here. But all of you, I want you to go back and reach out to employers, knock on the door, and see how we can more effectively align post-secondary education at every level with what's happening. Generate those on-site in-workplace opportunities. But the second thing is I really hope you all become ambassadors of You Can Go Back. I mean, that experience my mom had just changed her life, changed all of our lives, motivated us as kids even more in our lives to go on and pursue our dreams. And so I want to encourage you in that regard. Lastly, let me just say thanks. Thanks to all of you. Indiana's economy is on the move. It is truly extraordinary to see the pace of economic development in this state. $4.7 billion of investment last year was a record in the state of Indiana. And we're on a blistering pace to set another record this year. And people are looking to Indiana. People are growing in Indiana. People are coming to Indiana. But the key for us to achieve a boundless future in our third century is education. And making sure that we have the best educated and the best skilled workforce in America falls to so many of you in this room. And I know you're up to the challenge, and you're meeting that challenge each and every day. But the last thing I'd say is let's not get too lost in the numbers, right? I mean, I was driving up today, and I was preparing this morning for these remarks, and I thought we talk a lot about workforce, and we talk a lot about the needs of our economy, right? And that's all true, right? I mean, you're not going to have a boundless future in Indiana unless we meet our workforce needs and we're smarter and we're more effective. But I think it means more to me to remember that American dreams happen one person at a time, right? One dream at a time. The reason Indiana stands today more prosperous than ever before in our state's history, it's not a testament to our government, certainly. It's not a testament to our institutions, however meritorious. It is a testament to the women and men of Indiana who have populated this state and have lived out their dreams in this state each and every day and had the opportunity to pursue those dreams. I mentioned my own family, and I'll close there. My grandfather immigrated to this country when he was 21 years old. My grandmother put him on a boat in Galway, Ireland, and said, "You're going to America because there's a future there." He really didn't want to go. He was about your age back there. He didn't want to go. He didn't want to leave his family. But he went. He was a bus driver in Chicago, Illinois for 40 years. He raised my mom on the south side of Chicago. She met this kind of fast-talking salesman who got in the gas station business, moved down to southern Indiana. My mom and dad raised us to believe in education. I don't ever remember a time, Teresa, you've heard me say this, I don't ever remember a time, my dad was the first person in his family to graduate from college, and my dad didn't put his finger in the chest of every one of us and say, "You're going to college. Whatever else you're doing, you're going to college. And after that, you can climb your own mountain, pursue your own dreams." But it was about education that our family was always raised and focused. My mom's inspirational experience, and now I'm a dad. I'm a dad of 3 college kids, 1 graduate and 2 that are still in school. And the thing that I like about what we're doing now in Indiana, what we've been doing over much of the last 3 years, is we're working each and every day to make sure our schools work for all of our kids, regardless of where they start in life, but also regardless of where they want to start in life and how they want to start in life. And this new innovative approach that really focuses on the demand side is about that. I mean, I've got one son that graduated from Purdue University and got a degree in flight, and now he's in flight training. He's a United States Marine at Pensacola, Florida. But he studied flight training and technical training at Purdue. I got another one who's going to graduate from college up in Chicago this spring, and hopefully will be off the payroll soon. But she's a writer. She's an incredible writer. She actually wrote a manuscript for a children's book that I'm proud to say as a dad, an agent read. She sent it around to a bunch of agents. She's got a California agent, Mike. It's unbelievable. They're shopping the book in New York. She just might be able to support me in the means to which I've become accustomed someday. And then I've got my third daughter's going to school in Boston and is just a brilliant kid and is headed to grad school. But each of my kids, they grew up in the same home, but they're so different, right? I think each one of us are endowed by our Creator with certain God-given abilities. And our school system needs to be sensitive to allowing young people at every level, secondary education and all the way through post-secondary education, to be able to find their passion, pursue their passion, and achieve their dreams. Because when Hoosiers do that, when they achieve their dreams, we will achieve more than we could ever imagine in the state of Indiana in our third century. And so thank you all very much for what you do to transform lives in the state of Indiana. Thank you for the way you pour yourselves into the lives of the men, women, and children of this state. And I just know, with your help and God's help, the best days for all of the people of this state and this great state are yet to come. Thanks, everybody. God bless.
Thank you very much, Governor, for your remarks. We're about to make transition. We're going to go to our breakout session, then we're going to come for our final plenary session where we have an opportunity to hear closing thoughts and talk about next steps. How do we translate the great conversation and great information sharing into action? Go to our breakout session, then we'll come back. And I know we're a little behind, but we will catch up. Governor Pence challenged us, and I'm going to follow suit and challenge us likewise as we go to the next session. We know we're coming up on I think it's December, where we officially reach 200 years of the founding of the state of Indiana. So there's a lot of planning around the bicentennial events. As kind of the course of life would have it, one of our commission meetings was in Bloomington. And one of the gifts from the group at IU was we had a nice mug, but then there was also a book entitled The Indiana Way by a gentleman by the name of James Madison. I guess not that James Madison, but clearly a gentleman who knows about everything Indiana history. And some of you may have had him if you went to IU. Well, I took the opportunity to read the book, and there were a lot of interesting points. And yet there was one point that was so riveting to me, actually so mind-altering, so shocking, that I felt like it's worth sharing with you because it seems there may be some efficacy here, some relevancy that just may help. This is the fact that just totally blew my mind as we learned about Indiana history as we celebrate the 200 year. During the Civil War, Indiana sent 25, or actually there were 25,000 Hoosiers who died in the Civil War. Well, many people died in the Civil War. Yet this is the fact that I can't get beyond. Only 7,000 of those died in battle. $7,000 plus, 25,028 died. 7,000 plus 7,843 died in battle. What happened to the 17,000 plus? Well, we were looking for muskets and we were looking for cannons, but there was something more pernicious that was not on anyone's radar. The 17,000 plus died from disease. And so the challenge as we go into these sessions and have these great conversations is for us to ask ourselves, What keeps so many people from completing college? Why do we have a persistence and completion issue? Perhaps there is a disease that we're not discussing. And so with all the bright, intelligent people here, I think that's the challenge for us. Is there an underlying issue or a root cause that's really driving or inhibiting our success to really create seismic change? That's the challenge for us to figure out. That's why we're in higher education. I guess the word ado, education, comes from the Latin ado, and ado means to draw or lead out that which is hidden. And so that's the challenge for us. Let's learn what we can do to address these underlying issues that are not being discussed, and yet these underlying issues tend to inhibit so many of our young people from succeeding and realizing their potential. Thank you all very much. Have great sessions. We'll see you in a few.